Listen to me, all of you. I bring you here to the county fair, and all I ask is that you do something. You make some noise. But no. You all sit there with your crimped hair. And I'm not prejudiced. I'm not. I don't care if you're white or you're black or you're brown. Just speak up, damn it! Oh, what's the use?
Silence of the Lambs
You're all mutton to me.
will not be presented at this time.
You will never be as popular as pork.
In order to bring you the following special podcast.
Perhaps you've heard of Haggis.
It's almost live. Still alive.
It's alive!
A limited podcast series about Northwest Television's legendary TV sketch comedy show.
An amazing phenomenon.
Featuring intimate conversations with the writers, performers, creators.
Rustlers, cutthroats, murderers, bounty hunters, desperados, bushwhackers, hornswagglers, horse thieves, bulldykes, train robbers, bank robbers, ass kickers, shit kickers, and murderers!
Your host was one of them.
I think I would remember a thing like that.
Pat Cashman.
What's the matter with you?
Almost live.
This is just a real nice surprise.
Still alive.
Just a real nice surprise.
My guest this time around is a pastor and evangelist whose televised sermons are seen by millions around the world.
Oh, wait a minute.
He preaches from the same church his father founded in Houston.
Cashman, hold on a
His
second.
best-selling books have been read by millions.
Cashman, stop!
What?
That's the biography of Joel Osteen.
Okay.
That's not the right Joel.
Yeah?
That's not the right guy.
Is that so?
Joel Osteen was never on Almost Live.
Oh, I think he was.
He wasn't.
Was.
He wasn't.
Was.
Wasn't.
Was.
Wasn't.
Maybe they, just forgot to put his name in the credits.
That's the wrong Joel.
Oh, wait a minute. You're right. My goof up.
Yeah.
Oh, sheesh. This is embarrassing.
Kinda. Yeah.
I see what I did.
Do you
Yeah,
know?
okay.
Yeah, great.
Let's start again.
You got it.
My guest this time is a professional NBA basketball player from
No,
Cameroon.
wrong guy again.
What?
Joel Embiid.
Embiid? That's a
He
name?
plays for the 76ers.
They're not very good, are they?
That's not the point.
Okay, let's reset again.
Okay, sure.
My guest is Australian actor and filmmaker Joel Edgerton.
Wrong again.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
How about Joel Cohen?
Nope.
Kinnaman.
Uh-uh.
Gray.
No.
Murray.
Incorrect.
Courtney.
Nix.
Tobeck. Prisbella.
Not close.
He's the lead vocalist for the punk band Good Charlotte. Yeah?
No. Nuts.
I know. Old-time actor from the 40s and 50s, Joel McHale.
He died 30 years ago.
Well, that doesn't mean he wouldn't be a good guest.
You know, you should have prepared for this a little
What about that guy that goes, "Sing us a song, you're the piano man"?
Come on.
Joel Billy, I think it is.
Look, would you just read this?
Okay.
Here? Come on. Read it.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, this guy. Yeah, I know him.
Do you know? Yeah.
Can we edit that first stuff out?
Definitely.
Good.
It's done.
All right, great.
Yeah, we got it.
Here we go.
Jeez.
My guest this episode is Joel McHale.
Good.
Actor, comedian, author, producer, TV host.
Great.
And guy who did The Piano Man.
Would you read what's written?
Right.
Right.
He hosted The Soup for 11 years on the E! Network, and he starred in the NBC sitcom Community for 6 seasons. He's been in dozens of movies and TV shows and commercials and video games. For crying out loud, he's hosted the ESPY Awards, the
Yeah.
Independent Spirit
Yeah.
Awards,
Right.
People's Choice, the Webbys, even the White House Correspondent's Dinner.
Yeah.
Remember when they used to have those?
I do.
He's had Netflix shows. He's even the host of the game show reboot of Card Sharks. Now, I could go on, but let's let him do that.
You know, you could have said that better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joel Edward McHale was born in Rome, the one in Italy, but he grew up in Mercer Island, the one in Lake Washington. His dad is Jack from America. His mom is Laurie from Canada. Joel is 1.93 centimeters tall, and he lives in Hollywood with his wife Sarah and his 2 boys, Eddie and Isaac. All people in Hollywood are required to have a swimming pool, so we caught up with Joel after he had completed a half lap.
That was just brilliant.
I appreciate that.
So I don't want to dominate
Yes, I do. I want to dominate your time, but I know you have limited.
Yes, I've got about 5 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
I must sound very good because this microphone makes me
sound good.
It's like makes me sound like
really good,
like John Keister in 1981.
Joel McHale, as I live and breathe,
Well,
it's you, my lad, and we're speaking to you from your home, or a house that you've inhabited and won't leave. And
No.
So
It's great to hear from you, Bill.
thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You were my favorite cast member.
Not a lot of people use my middle name, so thank you.
Mr. Stanton.
Speaking of names, we all know, because we've heard this lore all the time, that people in show business have stage names.
Mhm.
Like Michael Caine, I think, was Maurice Micklewhite, and Hulk Hogan was Terry Jean Bollett, and Bruno Peter Jean Hernandez, Shania Twain. You'd think Shania Twain would be Samantha L. Clemens, but her real name is Eileen Edwards. What I have in my notes here is that you also have a stage name.
Yes.
And it's your real name. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Joel.
Okay.
Pol Pot McHale. Am I right about that?
Yes, that is correct.
Why did you change it?
It was the alliteration that bothered me.
Uh-huh.
I was actually born Tom Cruise, and then my parents changed it to Pol Pot McHale, and then I changed it to Joel McHale. Because Joel is a Jewish name, and I am Ashkenazi.
And you're not Jewish, are you?
No, I'm 100% Ashkenazi Jew.
Oh, you are? Oh, I did not know that. Huh?
Yeah.
Because it says in my notes here you're part Irish and part maybe Norwegian or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was wrong about that. Yep. That's
Okay. All right.
correct.
So-
I'm almost half and half, and then there's little bits of, other very white people in there. But it's and also Sarah, my lovely wife of almost 23 years, Pat. You'll get there.
Hard to believe she's that old now.
I was at your wedding. Certainly you remember that.
That's definitely not true. And
I was passed out for a lot of it.
That was the first time I knew that your son had good physical strength, because he was pretty young then. He just dragged you out.
Yeah.
No, Sarah just did the 23andMe and found out that she's a lot of Norwegian. So I think we're basically brother and sister.
Oh, that's good.
And
Well,
that explains a lot.
Let me. We know all that's happened to you is so legion that I don't have time or frankly any interest in going into any of that.
What?
But I want to talk to you about the time leading up to Almost Live, because that's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
So tell us where you were born, where you've lived, and where you went to school. Please.
How much am I making on this?
It's going to be a big surprise.
All right. I was born in Bend, Oregon in 1937. And that was before...
the only truth in that is that you were also born in a one-syllable town, but it wasn't Bend.
That's not true. I was born in Roma.
Rome.
In a little while you're leaving, starting on the journey home. Soon I'll be alone, the one who loves you. La 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 la. Somewhere in the heart of Rome.
Roma. I was born in Rome, Italy. Not on purpose, or very much on purpose. My brothers were too.
How did that happen?
My dad was in the CIA.
No, I don't mean how did it happen. We know how it happened, but why were you? Why was he in Rome?
What is peanut? Okay. My dad continues to be from Chicago, and he wanted to get out of Chicago. And
Your dad's from Chicago?
Chicago.
Chicago, that part of town.
I knew a guy from Chicago.
Who? Oprah?
Larry Jenkins. Isn't that weird?
Waiting for the break of day.
I wonder if
No,
you're...
that's he's from Naperville, which is outside of Chicago.
All right. Oak Park was Larry's place.
Oh,
Anyway,
yes.
go ahead.
Unincorporated Oak Park. And so he saw the movie Roman Holiday in high school and pointed at the screen and said, "That's where I'm going." And then
Written by Dalton Trumbo.
Oh, That was my other stage name.
Under an assumed name. Yeah.
Right, because of the Red Scare.
Yeah.
You state your full name.
Dalton Trumbo.
When and where were you born, Mr. Trumbo?
I was born in Montrose, Colorado on December 9th, 1905.
What is your occupation?
My occupation is that of a writer.
I have some other questions, Mr. Trumbo, I'd like to ask you. Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
Mr. Stribling, you must have some reason for asking me this question.
You can address the committee.
I understand that members of the press have been given an alleged Communist Party card belonging to me. Is that true?
No, that's not.
You're not asking the question.
I was.
The chief investigator's asking the question.
We digress. But anyway, your dad wanted to get to Rome.
And my dad found a way to get there. And then my mom, her father was in charge. He worked for the UN, and he was in charge of stimulating fish populations around the planet. And which sounds like it's a crazy, wonderful job. They moved from Vancouver, BC. And so my mom was a student. My dad was he was a grad, or he was in charge. He was the dean. So it was a scandal. And
Dean of Loyola.
Dean of students at Loyola University Rome
okay.
Center. And Loyola is also a school in Chicago. So that's how.
Exactly.
There.
Hello, and welcome to Loyola University Chicago. Being the largest Jesuit college in the country, we embrace the values of Jesuit education, focused on care of the whole person, global awareness, service, and being men and women for others. We can see you here, and we believe that your journey starts at Loyola University Chicago.
And they had a family, and my aunts and uncles all lived there. My aunt and uncle still live there, and my grandparents moved from Rome in 1979.
Did you pick up the language?
I don't know.
The language would be Italian.
No, I picked up Japanese, but
that's odd. That's odd.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. So that's how we ended up there. And then my dad did not want the dean of students job only paid like $6,000 a year, and even though Rome was cheap at that point, they decided they wanted to raise Americans for some reason. And so they wanted, because they didn't have enough money for American schools. So they decided to move to Seattle because my grandfather gave my dad a lead for a job. And when you go from swinging early 70s Rome to Seattle early 70s, it is not. Seattle
comparable.
Was not the same place as it is today. There were billboards that said, with the last person in Seattle,
see you
please
later.
turn off the lights, because Boeing was tanking. And
the Boeing company announced that they'd be laying off most of their workforce. They had 103,000 employees. They finally wound up at 39,000. It absolutely devastated the city of Seattle and its economy.
The economy was tanking, and my dad said, as he drove to his job at Weyerhaeuser, which he had never worked in forestry or anything, he said out loud to himself, alone in the car, he said, "The fun part of my life is over." and got to them, almost 40 years later, they love it. And I think once in a while the rain gets to them, but Seattle has everyone knows what it's become. So,
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how you got. How old were you when you moved to Seattle?
Really young, like 19. I think I was like 3 or 4.
Oh, so you don't really remember Rome growing up there.
I have all these weird, when you think you don't remember something, and then you realize some of those memories are there, and you're like, oh yeah, I do remember that part, and I do remember that part. So there's some. Yeah. Like there's a city called Ostia Antica, which is the old port city of Rome, which is now nowhere near it's very far away from the ocean now because silts moved in. And I was like, I have very distinct memories. Yeah, ocean fled. We're out of here.
Ostia Antica, 30 kilometers southwest of Rome, was ancient Rome's major seaport. The clearly discernible ruins of restaurants, bakeries, shops, houses, and public meeting places gives a good impression of what life must once have looked like in the 50,000-strong town.
But so I have distinct memories of that, of our VW Bug, which we seem to have 12 of them. And so then we moved to Mercer Island, Washington, which at that point was cheaper than Seattle, and that's why we moved there. And now it's gone up in value.
Is that the original house that they live in now? Is that where you?
No, there was a different house on the top of the island, closer to the Mercer Island High School, where I also went to. And so then we moved to New Jersey, to Haddonfield, New Jersey, which is right outside of Philadelphia.
With history dating back to 1602, Haddonfield is one of the nation's oldest towns. Many historic and period homes still exist today.
As you can see, Haddonfield is a great community with much to offer.
How old were you then?
Then I was like 7 or 8. So we weren't in Seattle for very long. And then
so you're starting school at second grade there.
Yeah. I went to, let's see, I hadn't started, I guess I had. I was just getting out of, it was just at the end of preschool. I think I did an extra year of preschool because no one could figure out why I couldn't read. And so I went to a place called Pixie Hill in in Mercer Island. And then when we went to New Jersey, I was always very incensed because the Mariners were terrible in the 70s, and they were a brand new team in the 70s. And then we went to
77, I think.
Yeah. Then we went to, the Phillies were the Philadelphia Phillies. It was the whole, they won the World Series, and I was like, I don't think I can root for them. I can't just jump on this bandwagon.
Didn't you like Mike Schmidt playing third base?
Yeah, it was a legendary team.
Tapped. Carlton will have to make the play. He does. So the Royals go down in the 7th inning.
And the Flyers were great. So then my parents didn't like New Jersey, and they didn't like the East Coast, and they also didn't like the way we were talking. I guess we sounded like we were.
How were you talking?
I think we were like, "Hey, Mom, when we going into Jersey?" I think we sounded like we were in The Soprano. That's what I think they kind of made that up. But
come out and take it, you dirty yellow-bellied rat, or I'll give it to you through the door.
I think they realized how much they did like the Northwest, and the Northwest still was kind of an open frontier at that point, and is stunningly beautiful for 6 months out of the year. So they moved back, and they also realized they had a bunch of friends they had made, and and then they were in for the long haul. And we grew up on Mercer Island.
So they went back to Mercer Island, and then they got the house that they have.
Then they got the house, which then, get this, they sold in the.
I remember this. Yeah, tell people this story.
My parents sold their house in the late 90s, and because my dad had a fantasy of owning a houseboat, to which they bought a houseboat. They lived on this houseboat. I was married at that point, so were one of my brothers, I think, and
so maybe 97, 98.
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
it was great. Yeah, it was like 97, 98, 99, and I think, into the 2000s. And it was great, and we loved it. It was tiny. They loved it.
Where were they moored? Were they on Lake Union, or where were they?
They were they looked onto the Montlake Bridge and onto the university. So it wasn't
kind of down where Tom Hanks lived in the movie.
Is this about that woman in Baltimore?
Annie. I don't care what you do.
Good, fine. I'll tell you what I'm doing this weekend. I'm getting laid. 1990s, and nobody is getting laid. I'm the only man in America who was getting laid this weekend, and I haven't been laid that much. 6 girls in college, maybe 7. How long have you been standing there?
Forever.
No, ironically, I can't believe I'm name dropping now, but I know Colin Hanks a little bit.
His son.
And I know Tom a little bit. We're friendly if we see each other. It's not like he's mean. But he lived a door down from my friend who grew up on the water while he was shooting Sleepless in Seattle. So people would just get in, swim to see if you could see the Hanks from their window, from the water in their window. And I remember thinking, I told Colin Hanks that, and he was like, "Doesn't sound creepy at all, Joel." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it is a little creepy. Just weirdos swimming by to see if they can get a glimpse of their dad." But what am I saying? So yeah, they grew up on the cut. It's called the Cut, everyone, because they made a little cut between Lake Union and Lake Washington.
It's where they have those crew races.
Yes.
And I'll talk to you about that in a minute too, because you tried that out.
I did.
But then they didn't like it on the houseboat after a while, and
we began to get. They realizing we were going to have grandkids. And so they began looking again on Mercer Island, and lo and behold, their own house was up for sale.
So they bought their own house back.
The house back, and it's crazy. And so they bought their old house back from the people for a very, like, almost exactly what they paid for it. I don't know how they worked it out, but it had been 5 or 7 years. I don't know how he worked it. Then, in a weird connection, we have a close friend who is a teacher of Eddie's, my son's. Now get this, her husband used to date the daughter who lived in our old house. And I was like, whoa, I couldn't even put together the coincidences. Anyway, so they've been there ever since. And it's a house that has been loved to death. No, it's still alive. I mean,
I've been lucky enough to go there a time or two. Now, you went to grade school. You went to a Catholic grade school, and then you went to Mercer Island High School.
Yeah, well, I went to public school up until...
Oh, you did?
Yeah, 4th grade. And then I went to St. Monica's on Mercer Island from 5th to 8th, which was really a great experience. It really was. And then we went to Mercer Island. At that point, my brother had gone to Eastside Catholic, and he hated it. And that was before Eastside Catholic was Eastside Catholic. Because when people told me just a couple of years ago, they're like, no, Eastside Catholic's like incredibly hard to get into, and their sports programs are amazing. And I was like, are you sure? Because when my brother went there, it was like a bunch of dumpy old buildings in the middle of an old park. And they're like, no. Now it's like the nicest high school in the place. And I was like, that seems... I was like, nah, it's impossible. And
so when you went to high school, middle school, or whatever they call it now, were you into sports?
That's all I did. I was so bad at school that...
You bad at everything in school?
Except for history. Because anything where there was a lecture, I was decent. Because I could just listen to it, write some stuff down. Because I'm dyslexic and ADHD, I'm self-diagnosed ADHD, but definitely.
Did anybody at the time say you're dyslexic? They didn't even know that word back then, really, did they?
We've learned so much about what dyslexia is and isn't. We know it's a brain-based condition that impacts reading, spelling, and writing, but it's not a problem with vision. Dyslexia is a problem with understanding and working with language. Dyslexia is a lifelong issue that tends to run in families, so there's often a parent or a sibling who also has it.
They said I was an idiot, and that's half true. No, they said I was a slow starter. I was told that when I was a 2nd grader, which we told, like, my sons are dyslexic, and we told the doctor, because the doctor was like describing Eddie's symptoms, and I'm like, you're describing me. And she said, oh yeah, I was wondering which one it was, because it's passed down from a parent.
Really?
And
was your mother and dad, are they dyslexic?
My dad is dyslexic, but I don't think he admits it. And and you do learn to read much faster as you get practice and practice and practice. Not fucking teleprompters that were the bane of my existence for a long time.
I was going to get to that because when you got, I'm jumping all around here, but I know
who cares? It's fine.
You got involved with a thing that is still going strong in Seattle called theater sports.
It still is? It's going?
That's what I'm told.
It's another sold-out Friday night here at Unexpected Productions in the Pike Place Market, home of the Northwest's premier improvisational group. Theater Sports, a long-running late-night hit.
Theater sports, for people who may not know, is a very popular competitive improvisational group of people, and you were a part of that and a big part of it. And that didn't require you to read anything.
That worked out great.
Off the top of your head. So, and I'm again jumping ahead, but so when you go to Almost Live, we'll get to why you got there in a minute. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, if you're in a studio piece, you have to read a teleprompter, and you had to hide the fact that you were struggling through it because you couldn't.
Oh, Pat, the anxiety that I had going into live bits with teleprompters.
And you never told anybody, though, did you?
No, because I didn't want to, I wouldn't admit that to anybody. And at that point I was, had a lot of shame about it that I couldn't read. And now I celebrate it. Now I think it's the greatest thing. Now I'm like, it's an advantage. I mean, kind of. But yeah, I would go into those things because the pressure to perform and knowing that there was a live audience, I was just like, the combination was dizzying. And then I'd see people like you or John, and you would it was effortless. And I was like, how do they do that? And so I would just read stuff out loud. Like I'd be on the toilet and I just read out loud the shampoo bottle I was like, maybe this will help. And
Did you try to beat that by memorizing a script?
Yeah, so I would memorize it as well, but there was still a lot of so you memorize it and then you just hope that it doesn't change, And I've talked to like Bill Hader from SNL, who's on Barry. He's got the same thing, and he would just memorize everything he ever did and freak out. He said, I'd totally freak out if they started changing.
This place has everything: chutes, ladders, the outdoor concert from a Zoloft commercial, a doorman who always high-fives children of divorce. This place is gonna have everything: ghosts, ghouls, goblins, my son. And that TV channel at the hotel that's like about the hotel.
And then I found out that Christopher Walken is the same way, where he would ask for the sketches a week in advance so he could have time with them.
Come on, Gene! Come on! I gotta have more cowbell.
But the last time I checked, we don't have a whole lot of songs that feature the cowbell.
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
I think if I just leave and maybe I'll come back later and we can lay down the cowbell.
Come on, baby. Gene, wait. Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
And so I know like the skill of people making these last minute adjustments is pretty impressive. And this is why Almost Live was, thank God for it, because it was even though it was a big deal in the Northwest, it was not, I know that the Comedy Central thing, I came after the Comedy Central years, but I was so lucky that I could fuck up on camera, and only a number of hundred thousands of people would see it, including all my friends who would make fun of me, but I wasn't eating it on a national level. Yeah. And so I loved taped bits. I loved the bits where we could improvise on camera.
Yeah. I want to talk about that too. I'm gonna again do a moonwalk back to
do it.
When you got out of high school and you went to the University of Washington.
Yeah.
Did you, since you say you were not a very good student, how did you go to UW? Were you on an athletic scholarship?
No, I was recruited to row, to be on the rowing team. And
had you ever rowed before?
Yes, I had rowed in high school.
I want to row on the crew, mama. That's the thing I want to do, mama. You'll see your slim son putting crimps in the crimson when I row on that varsity crew.
Anything that would allow me to play a sport and move around or run after a ball or run at something, I was doing. To this day, I regret that I never wrestled. I was like, I should have wrestled. But I played basketball and baseball and football and soccer and darts. I got into darts, and I played a lot of pool, ping pong, tennis team, you fucking name it.
You're a very competitive guy too.
Yeah, it's not, I have to kind of control it. I'm not like Jordan in the Last Dance. I wish. No, but
wasn't that a great series, by the way? God, it was
okay. I have it all recorded.
Yeah,
I know it's the greatest.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through it, and it's fantastic. You'll.
I'm just worried about when he starts mocking Gary Payton that I'm going to throw the computer.
The glove. I had no problem with the glove.
Well, every time I see a shot of them playing the Sonics, I mourn the fact that the Sonics aren't in Seattle anymore. That just sucks.
It's fucking
really does.
sucked, and it's Howard Schultz's fault, and he knows it.
Yep, it is.
And he says that he's a victim. That's the best part. He's like, they tricked me. I was like, they tricked one of the greatest businessmen on the planet. They tricked you.
I regret it. There's nothing I can do to bring the Sonics back. I naively thought that the people who bought the team would keep it here. That didn't happen.
When did you know you made a mistake?
I think I knew maybe within a year when I started seeing young kids with Sonic jerseys on, and it really made me realize the deep wounds of taking a sport team away from young fans.
Just say, look, it wasn't for me, and some guy wanted to pay more than was ever paid for a basketball team, and I like money, so I took the $500 million. That's all you have to say.
This is the approach of many well-known billionaires, Joel, who do not take the blame for anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like when what's his name? I think it was Rockefeller was on his deathbed, the oldest one. They were like, how much?
John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah, I was like, how much money is enough money? And hold on one second. I'll pause for a second
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to that's the doorbell, which is hooked into the phone system. So the entire fucking house lights up like a Christmas tree. And
it sounds like it's saying, love you.
And then they just accidentally.
Love you.
Then we have 3 dogs, and the dogs are like, someone's here. And then they just run like it's a jailbreak towards the gates. Anyway, so what am I saying?
We have 2 dogs that do the same thing. You don't even need a doorbell if you got dogs.
No. Fuck. So, anyway, so what am I saying? So John D. Rockefeller was asked on his deathbed, like, how much money is enough? He was just, and his answer was like, just $1 more. And I was like, oh, yeah.
One more dollar on my way.
Anyway, going back, I went to the University of Washington, and this is...
Well, I wanted to ask you, when you were at Mercer Island High School, was Quinn Snyder playing then?
No, Quinn was in the 80s. He was in the...
he was in the 80s, okay.
1984 was a state finalist and Keiko champions. They went 25-3. Quinn Snyder and Brian Schwabe were juniors.
So I played with Quinn's little brother on the basketball team, and Quinn's dad was he was vice principal. For those of you tuning in, Quinn Snyder was one of the better basketball players ever to come out of Mercer Island. He went to Duke. He played on. He
coached at Missouri, I think.
And then, he was an assistant coach for the Suns, I think. Yeah, and he coached in Missouri.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And there was another, Brian Schwabe was also a player on his.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
He went to Northwestern, and he was unbelievable. And then there was
wasn't related to Les Schwabe, the tire guy, was he?
Free beef now at the Les Schwab sign.
I just ad-libbed that.
How did you come up with that?
I did not write that out.
Can you just take that apart? Because this is like
I can't tell
IFC show Iconoclast where they just like,
I do have
like
4 or 5 writers in the room with me.
Really?
That one was my own right there.
Is Hans Eric in there?
Yeah, he's here. Hans Eric. What? Never mind.
Places.
Go back to what you were doing.
Become a child.
Yeah, he lives here now. He lives with me.
That's wonderful.
So you're at UW and you're into every sport you can, and particularly on the rowing team.
I
good?
Recruited to row, and that was when. Oh, by the way, this is how dumb I was when I got. I say this, and I jokingly say that I was dumb because if there's someone listening with dyslexia, believe me, I understand your plight, and you're probably the smartest person there. That's how I always approached it. No, but
I think I read that Einstein was dyslexic.
Yes, totally. Couldn't fucking talk even, and then that was a whole other thing. He was on the spectrum, they say. I had to take. This is how bad I was in math in high school. When I got to the UW. Also, this was a time when I know that when people hear I went to UW, they'll go, "Oh, that's good." I'm like, it was not that way in the 90s. You could get in pretty easily, and I know the UW people are like, "How dare you say that?" But you could get in pretty easily. So I cheated all through high school because I was like, well, the only way I'm getting out of here is just by making all this, is just by getting the answers. And so then when I got to college, I had to take a math class that was worth 0 credit. It was a high school math class because I didn't have enough math credits from high school. They're like, okay, you got in, but you must take this math class just to get into like college math, or to certain degrees required it. And I was flunking that like a champ. And the teacher said at the end, he goes, "Hey, are you going to go for a degree that requires any math?" And I was like, "Fuck no. Why? No way am I going to. Are you kidding? You can see how bad I am at this." And he goes, "Okay, I'm going to pass you, but do not take anything with math." And I'm like, "I'm not going to. I don't want to. I believe."
Are you lucky?
And
you're singing to the choir, man. I just could not get math. I flunked it in college, and you had to have it. You had to have it. But somehow I graduated for other reasons. But
I should never have gone to college.
I don't have the excuse of dyslexia either. I'm just stupid at math. I always have been.
Were you good? Weird question. No. Were you good at geometry?
No. Am I good at geometry, algebra, trigonometry?
Well, I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
I was really good at geometry, to the point where my teachers were like, "What's wrong with you? I aced geometry, and everything else was a D."
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't think I ever got to geometry because you had to get through math first.
You had to get through algebra.
It was like a second door into the house, and I never got to the second door. Yeah.
So I rowed, and the rowing team, I don't know what they're like now, but they were a bunch of super assholes. And they had all these traditions and requirements and
a lot of hazing.
So much hazing. Because my theory was, if you participate in a sport that has no spectators, they're going to come up with their own culture and figure out a way to feel important. And this is me being very insulting of the rowing team. But I love that Boys in the Boat book.
I was going to bring that up. That's great.
Yeah, that was good.
That used to be the sport at the UW.
Yeah, and they were
prestigious.
Yeah, incredibly good when I was there, and I was a freshman. So they would, if you got into the freshman boat, they would shave your head and your eyebrows off, and then they would put all that hair into a pillow, which was then in a display case full of hair pillows, which was very Ed Gein.
That sounds normal.
The serial killer.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make My Pillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America.
And then I didn't push a chair in properly. They had all these colored tiles that you had to walk along. And then so finally the senior rowing team had it with me and this guy named Jason Riney, who is a lawyer for Microsoft and married my high school friend, Suzanne Russell. So shout out to the Rineys. And so the team surrounded us and smacked us around. And I was like, this is not what I should be doing. And so I left, and I quit, and I was in a fraternity at that point, and I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, is this how fraternities work?" I tell them what happened, and we all go down there, and the fraternities they're like, "We should report this to the police," and we didn't. And I was just like, I'd see those guys on campus, and they make my blood boil, just a bunch of dorks. And so you can see how I've really let it go, Pat. I've really come to but that was really weird. And I didn't fight back because I was like, I'm going to lose a fight pretty badly to 11. And so,
well, you got to at some point realize that this isn't for me. And
but I
not have regrets about it.
I actually enjoy, to this day, I wish if I lived in the Northwest, I would definitely buy one of those sculls and go out rowing because I love that.
And if I had a boat, I'd go out on the ocean. And if I had a pony, I'd ride him on my boat. And we could all together go out on the ocean, set me up on my pony, on my boat.
Then I had a couple of friends in the fraternity who were on the football team. Chico Fraley being one of them, and he was a scary athlete, but a really nice,
I remember him.
Really nice guy. And he said, "Coming out for football." We also had a guy named Tom Gallagher on the team who was 6'8" and 300 pounds and slim. He was a monster. And so,
where did they position him?
he was on the offensive line, and he was one of those guys that was like, he didn't really make it in the NFL, but I was like, how the hell did Tom Gallagher not make it? He was the strongest, scariest guy on the team. Lincoln Kennedy was the only guy that was
at his height.
than
They might have made him a tight end. If he made the pros
he could
today.
run. I remember he ran like a 5'2" 40-yard dash, which is
pretty good when you're dragging 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's humming along. Yeah. And so I did that for 2 years, too much. And I didn't play. I played 1 year of football in high school. And I was way out of my league. And I think they liked me because I told a lot of jokes, and I gained the trust and respect of the team on skit night. And where I nailed a skit. It was like one of my better performances. I'll look back on that as like, oh, that's a highlight of my career when I nailed it in front of the football team. And I made fun of the team doctor, then I realized I had screwed myself because now the team doctor hated me. But
let's jump from that, because that's the first time in this interview, which I'm handling so poorly, that you brought up performing, entertaining people. Where did that happen? Were you doing that stuff in high school, or were you in theater?
You're killing this interview, and you're talking to a person that talks almost as much as, well, I would say I even talk more than you. You did it as a living, but as my wife will roll her eyes as soon as I start talking, and she'll be like, can you please can we go? Can we leave this party? And I'm like, no, I have so many points to make. And then I'll just blah, 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 blah.
Well, my wife has heard every story I know.
Yeah.
So many times. That's part of our problem.
I will.
So when did you start? When did you start saying, hey, wait a minute, screw rowing and then math and football? I want to perform it in front of an entertainment
That was
audience.
in New Jersey. That was when.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. So I was in first grade. I didn't repeat first grade, but I went to something called transitional first grade, which was like in between preschool and kindergarten. And I don't even know if it exists today. I just knew that we took nap breaks and no other class did. And then the teacher would sleep.
They should have kept that going in college.
Oh,
I think that'd be a better experience.
No joke.
And you need it more in
master
college.
at naps in college. I could take a 3-minute nap. Anyway, I did and I'm not kidding. Okay, so the ride, It's a Small World, had a elementary school play that you could do of the ride. And which really shows you there was that, I don't know, public schools were not very responsible when Disney was like, here's a play. It's based on the Jungle Ride. Now come and be on the ride. Spend a bunch of money here. Anyway, so it was this kids version of a stage show of It's a Small World. So there was all these parts, like we need a monkey, we need a lizard, we need a snake, and we need a bell ringer from Lapland or something. And so I just kept auditioning for all the roles, and I did them all. And my mom and dad had no idea that I had all these parts, and they went to the little performance, and they were like, you were just so happy up there. You were just smiling the whole time, and you were so...
They didn't say you were so good, but you looked so happy.
They were like, you were really farting around up there. And so that's the first time I stepped on stage, and I remember how much I liked it. And then I think it was 7th grade is when I did a reading, and then I met these two guys. One was named Dominic DeLeo, and the other was named Ethan Sandler. And then eventually I met this guy named John Atkins, and we all were thick as thieves in 7th and 8th grade. And Ethan was a very accomplished actor at that point. Even as like a 7th grader, he went to the Bush School in Seattle and had already been in like Seattle Children's Theater, and he was the lead in a bunch of stuff. And so I did a play in 8th grade. I did, was it freshman? No, it was 8th grade.
Remember what it was?
Yeah, it was Oliver. and I did it for the Children's Theater.
Did you play the part of Oliver?
No, I did not. I was too large. I was already very tall at that point.
Oliver's supposed to be a waif.
And I would look like I would be some sort of Guy Ritchie version of Oliver. Yeah. But the kid was from India, and he could sing like nobody's business. He was such a good singer.
I'd do anything for you, dear. Anything.
But there was a line that they changed because it said one boy rather pale, and he was not. He was from India, and so they changed it to rather frail. And so that was,
I guess, not so pale would not have worked in the lyric line.
What happened to that guy? He wasn't the greatest actor at that point, but he was really young. So, but he could sing. He was in like the star-studded children's choirs of Seattle, or anyway. So that started off, and we had a very good group of friends and who were in the ensemble. It was called from Mercer Island Children's Theater or Mercer Island Children's Theater Northwest. I don't know what it was called. I think it's still there. But we had this very core group of really close friends, and we would act every Monday night, and we were working on stuff every day for 2 years.
Your own stuff, or were you adapting other people's stuff, or writing your own material?
Both, but mostly it was plays, but it was adaptation, some of it. But yeah, we wrote some of our own stuff. I wasn't very good at that. Ethan did that, and then so anyway, that's how so being like theater nerds, and we were all playing sports. So like Ethan was the captain of the football team while doing all these plays. He was an adult by then, and I was just kind of like, I want to be like him. He seems to have his shit together, and that's what I would like. And so and also there was the two people I'm still very close with, Amy and Suzanne. Their last name was Brahm, and they were in every play with us. A few of those people came out and really did well. Like Ethan is here in Los Angeles, and he is a accomplished writer, and he and I just did the Family Feud together because our kids go to the same school.
Welcome back, Celebrity Family Feud, everybody. The McHale team won the game. Ready?
I'm ready.
I got 20 seconds on the clock, please. Come on, man, let's win the money.
Here we go.
We asked 100 men, what does LeBron James have that you don't?
Talent.
Dominic was Mankini on The Soup.
Oh yeah, was he funny?
But honestly and seriously and truthfully, like, it's one of my favorite shows I record seriously, but like, I can't frickin' stand that Mankini guy. Oh my gosh. I mean, this past weekend I watched it with my mom and my sister, and we're just like, he's not funny. Like, no, like, we all thought that simultaneously, and then like when we all said it out loud, and it's just like, this guy's not funny. I mean, he's I don't get it. I mean, clearly he's not supposed to be attractive. It's supposed to be I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be funny, but then I was trying to think, why is it supposed to be funny? Like, I don't get it, because he's not funny. The things he says are not funny, but it's just, it doesn't work with the show. It's, you know, because I get it's supposed to be awkward. I get that. It's like a weird, quirky, kind of like cheap show. You know, he always says it. That's like low budget, whatever. But it's just stupid. It's just a stupid character.
By the way, legally, for podcast purposes, I have to tell people that this is actually an excerpt from Meet the Press.
Like, he had the Mankini. It's so stupid. Clearly, he's friends with Joel McHale. Clearly, because it's the stupidest segment on The Soup. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, and I'm not gonna watch it until Mankini is off of there. I hate him. I mean, it's like, I don't hate anything, but it just ruins the show. And also, for the record, I think Joel McHale's funny. Like, I don't like him as a person, but he's funny. He's funny on The Soup, and on Community. I really like that show too. You know, I actually, you know, got to meet him one time at like this Apple store thing, and he's just like, you know, not nice. And we'll just leave it at that. I mean, I get that he's kind of an ass. That's his humor, but you know, really, in person, he kind of pisses an ass. But funny nonetheless, and I will admit that he is funny. But
and I think this part is from Face the Nation.
Mankini needs to go. I hate him. I hate Mankini. And I hope you all join me in the boycott. Boycott The Soup. this Friday, we got a couple days before, and just boycott it because, you know what? Now.
No, wait a minute. Now I remember. I recorded this off of C-SPAN.
I hate him. I would write a song saying how much I hate him, but that would just give him more fuel. So Mankini, I absolutely can't stand you, and the soup, get it together. I don't care if he's your friend or your writer or what he is. He's not funny and he doesn't work.
Okay, who else besides Mankini, Joel?
For 12 years, John Atkins had a very successful band called 764 Hero, and they opened for Modest Mouse all over the place and wrote some of their songs. This woman named Annie Conselmi, who became Annie Parise, she was on Law and Order as the fellow prosecutor. And
what's in it for Mr. Blanchard?
A walk, and he picks the right face out of the array.
What if I don't?
It's worth your while to try.
He was in a bunch of series and continues to work. And then there's a woman named Reiko Aylesworth who was on 24.
We are sending EMS, police, and rescue teams to the site ASAP. Copy that.
Alien versus Predator. So there's all these people that came out.
A lot of connections there, man.
That came out of that class, and it was really cool.
My class, I didn't have a group like that.
But you must have been quite the.
Now there was this one kid, and I don't know what happened to him. Trying to think of his name, Jeffrey Dahmer. That was it. And they said he had an eating disorder, but I didn't know him very well, and I don't know what became of him.
Well, Pat, that's
let's get back
than like performing. That's you just brought up. I mean, you probably know now he's one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, but.
I know. So it's really easy to criticize.
I went from like I had a close group
know.
of theater friends, and you're like, I knew a guy that wanted to eat people. That's how you.
I'm just trying to make this relatable. That's all.
You made it.
I don't have the pedigree that you do.
Okay. You brought up a horrific.
So let's get back to you. I'm sorry I tried to bring myself
history.
into this. Okay. As you're telling me this stuff, I'm thinking, why didn't? It's always obvious in hindsight. Why didn't I pursue theater with the same alacrity that I thought I was going to do sports at? Because this is where my heart is. This is what I want to do. Right. I want to make people laugh. I want to make people feel something, and I want to perform in front of an audience. It sounds like it was more of a hobby for you than something you started thinking of as a career at that point.
Well, I knew actually in about 7th grade, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is. And I just remember thinking, if I have to ever get a real job, I'll just do this until I have to get a real job. And I was just like, I'm going to do this until I can't. And I had this like, oh, you got to get good grades and you got to go to college. You got to do all that. So I had those kind of responsibilities which flew right in the face of everything else I was doing. So school was always the back seat. And kids, I don't recommend this. I don't recommend blowing school off. I
think I've wasted too much time. Not your fault, mine, because I want to get to Almost Live.
We will. It'll happen. No time is being wasted.
Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned this thing called theater sports earlier.
It was great.
And Almost Live, was there a connection to how you got to be part of Almost Live? Were you an intern at Almost Live? Is that
that's exactly it. So I was in college doing plays, and I was at theater sports because I'd gone and seen them in junior high. Ethan's mom drove us there.
This is a place located down in Pike Place Market.
At this point,
right?
Yeah, but at this point, this version was near the university. They had switched theaters. At one point, they were at the Inman Theater.
Right.
And so anyway, this guy named Keith Dahlgren was on stage. I'll never forget it. And then, of course, Randy Dixon, who to this day runs Unexpected Productions. And then a couple other, Deidre Ricketts, who is now a casting director down here in Los Angeles and has been for years. There's a guy named Bob. And then this woman named Barb Klansnick. Her name is Frayne Masters now. Please edit around that. This woman named Frayne.
I don't even know how you're remembering so many names.
I don't either.
I could come up with 3 right now.
This is all the beer I had last night.
Including
Frayne
Dahmer.
Masters, who is to this day a very close friend.
Very close friend that you called Barb Klasnick at first.
Edit this part out, but she changed her.
Oh, sure.
Yes,
you know I
She
will.
changed her name from Barb Klasnick to Frayne Masters, which I still to this day can't call her, and she gets offended. And I'm like, what the fuck do you expect?
Yeah, you're right. I'll definitely edit that
So I
out.
could call her Frayne Masters. Anyway.
So I found an Almost Live bit where you and what's-her-name are playing an engaged couple talking about what they agree they have in common.
House or apartment? House. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Kids or no kids?
Kids. Oh. Tartar control or whitening toothpaste? Tartar control.
Assisted suicide or lingering painful death?
Lingering painful death.
So how'd you? So you get your
and I just thought
to Almost Live.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was magic. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do, and then I really pursued it, and I get into college and I start taking classes, and I took a class in high school with a guy named Matt Olson, who you probably remember Matt.
Yeah.
He lives in Seattle now. He was down here for like 15 years and did well, and he's
what kind of classes? Drama classes?
No, we took
classes?
improv classes, and I remember
really?
We were taking an improv class from Randy, and there was 3 of us in the class, and then a guy dropped out, and then it was just Matt and I for weeks, and it was the beginning. Oh, here's the doorbell again. Come on. I just have to. This is the problem. My brothers.
If you're just joining us, you've probably grown a beard by now, ladies and gentlemen.
Can edit all.
Especially you ladies. And but we're going to get to Almost Live and Joel's time on Almost Live.
Someone's coming
in this marathon edition.
Into my house, and I've never even seen them. So, all right, this is
of the
done.
podcast.
So anyway, I did everything I could to get on theater sports, and did that. I loved it, and I was on stage like 4 nights a week. It's really where I cut my teeth, and I loved it. And then my mom said, you need to apply for an internship to Almost Live. And I listened to you every morning when you worked at Cairo, and so I loved your comedy. I have since fallen out of love with it after that.
No, well, you were a kid.
My guests on the phone right now are the co-authors of a new book called Think Smart and Succeed. And the co-authors are Lyle Bellenquist and Carl Dubgieler. And first of all, good morning to you, Lyle.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to you, Carl.
Actually, Carl's in the other room.
Well,
let me get him for you. Hang on. Carl!
If you're just joining us, we are talking, or we're going to be talking with the authors of Think Smart and...
Hi, this is Carl.
Hello there, Carl.
Hi, who's this?
It's Pat Cashman doing an interview regarding the book you and Lyle wrote.
Right. Think Smart and Succeed.
Yeah. Now, do I have you both now?
Lyle said you wanted to talk to me.
Well, see, the deal is when you have co-authors, you try to get them both on at the same time.
So you want me to get Lyle?
Well, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right.
Lyle! Telephone for you! Lyle!
We are interviewing the co-authors
Not from the radio.
of a new book
Right.
called Think Smart and...
Yeah, this is Lyle.
Yeah, Lyle, this is Pat Cash.
I remember, yeah.
Good. I don't suppose Carl is...
No.
Yeah,
I can get him.
Just stay on with me, would you?
No problem.
All right, I want to talk to you about the book.
You bet. What about it?
Well, in Chapter 3, you outlined some steps...
Actually, I didn't have anything to do with that chapter.
Oh, come on.
Carl wrote that one. Hang on a second.
Wait, no, please.
Carl!
Would you please...
Carl! Telephone!
We are trying to interview the authors of...
Hi, this is Carl.
Yeah, Carl.
Who's this?
It's Pat Cashman.
Oh, yeah.
Now listen to me, Carl. Listen to me.
Okay.
Is there another phone there in the room or in the office or wherever it is you two are right now?
Right, yeah, we do.
Okay.
All right.
You stay on this phone.
Okay.
And then you tell...
Lyle?
Yeah, Lyle. You have him
Okay.
get on the other phone
Right.
so that we have you both on at the same time.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, thanks.
Hang on a second.
All right.
Lyle!
So finally,
Lyle, pick up the other phone.
if this works out here, we should finally
So you get on the line with us.
be able to talk to the co-authors of this book, Think Smart and Succeed.
Can you hear us?
Okay, I hear you, Carl. Is Lyle, are you there too?
Am I where?
On the phone with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
Apparently you are, so that's good.
Right.
So then I've got you both on the line at the same time now, right?
Yes, you do.
That's right.
Carl?
I'm here.
Lyle?
I am right here.
Perfect.
Okay.
I don't know why this was so hard to do. I don't know what the hang-up was.
What was?
Hang-up.
Okay.
Oh, for crying out loud! I loved your comedy, and so I applied for an internship at Almost Live and at your radio station. And I got both. I don't know how it all happened.
But not simultaneously.
Yes, so simultaneously.
It was? See, my memory of it is that you did the Almost Live internship, and then that was over.
Oh.
And then you said, hey, I'd like to intern on your radio show. And
that is how
it Almost Live. Why would you want to do a dumb radio show after you've already
that is how it
been to the mountain?
Well, that is how it happened. But the way it worked was I got both in the same quarter at college. And it was because my mom literally filled it out. She's like, I'm applying for you. And because I was such an ADHD scatterbrain.
Your mom,
yeah,
Laurie.
and I would be like, okay, I'll see you later, and I'm just gonna go dribble a ball for an hour, and then I got both. Then I decided to take the Almost Live one because it was a television show with and you were on that, and then I had to go. I remember talking to you saying I'm gonna turn down the internship to take the Almost Live, and you gave me some like faux shit about it. You're like, oh really, Joel? Okay, well. I don't know if I'll ever talk to you again.
And the way I remember it is I did not want you to be the radio intern. I thought you were way overqualified.
Well, I don't know those qualifications. But so then I did the Almost Live internship, and then I did you. Then I did your internship. So after the 1 quarter goes by, then I started working for you for another quarter when Dory Monson was your weather and traffic and news guy, and we all know what happened to Dory, right?
I knew that he used to pal around with Dahmer a lot, but I didn't hear what happened to him.
You need to do some. Your memory is very fuzzy, but that's how it all went down. And I mean, honestly, I just wanted to try to be your friend, so it all worked out.
Well, you were an amazing intern, and I want to talk about some of your favorite bits on Almost Live, because I don't want this to go on forever. But a couple of things on you being my radio intern is that you were extraordinary. First of all, more than once, you'd show up with coffee and donuts in the morning on your own dime. You're not making any money.
No.
And I couldn't believe it.
I got to ingratiate myself, my friend.
Well, you did. But the most amazing thing you did, and you know what I'm going to tell you about, is I started getting these letters at the radio station from this young man. First name was Justin. I won't say his last name. And the letter started out kind of nice. They were like,
hey, Pat, I really like your radio show, and I like you on Almost Live, and I think it would be really swell if you and me and John Keister and we all got an apartment together in downtown Seattle, and we just hung out together and we watched movies together.
And I wrote him back. I'm polite. I'm picturing an 11, 12-year-old.
That was your mistake, is writing him back.
Yeah. And then so I'd keep rebuffing him. Not rebuffing, but I'd just say, hey, that sounds great. Maybe another time. I already live. I got a house. But it's nice hearing from you. Then the letter started getting darker and darker. Yeah. And then they even had more than veiled threats.
Yep. I remember these.
If you don't respond, and then he starts sending gifts, which I would send back to him, and then they got even darker after that.
You didn't open his gift,
and I didn't take it seriously. I just didn't, because I didn't.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything. That's murder.
And you could have and you're a young guy, and you're telling me, the old guy, that hey, you should employ a little wisdom here. This guy could be a threat. Maybe you should call the cops. And I go, oh yeah, no, it's nothing. So then you. On your own volition, you didn't tell me you were going to do this. You drive down, because the kid puts his address on these envelopes. So you see, it's an address in Auburn. Mm-hmm. You drive down by yourself.
With Matt Olson and I drove down.
Well, thank you, Matt. Because you go down, you find the house, and you park outside of it, and you watch. And at some point, a car pulls up, and a kid I wasn't there, so this is what I remember you telling me. A kid that's got to be at least in his mid-20s, if not 30s, gets out of the car, and this is the guy that's been writing me the letters. He goes into what is apparently is his parents' house and heads down to the basement, maybe, apparently. So then you came back to report to me, hey, this is not a little kid, Pat. You should take this seriously. This is an adult who could be a little screwed upstairs, and you should take this seriously and report this. I never did, but the fact that you would take that kind of interest in my safety just impressed the hell out of me.
I think also irresponsibly, I would these letters would come and it would be like opening a bizarre Christmas gift. And because we're going to get giddy about it, you're like, you're not going to believe what he wrote this time. And
well, one time he listed his favorite movies and they were all slasher movies. They're Texas Chainsaw Murder, or worse. You know, those are the movies he wanted me and Keister and him to hang around with each other and watch.
Thank God no one ever came after you. I mean, just so you know, Pat is a formidable guy. He has since withered, but he's not small, so you probably could defend yourself. But who would have been ready for like a crazy guy who was sending you love letters, essentially, or like, we're going to be together, so we're going to do this.
Anyway, enough about that. But
it also shows you that you were the nicest person on the planet, and I try to emulate that and not be a dick here when people say they are, they like me, and so I've learned a lot from you on that as well. When you were just incredibly kind to every single fan.
Okay, I'm not going to edit that part out.
And then you would give me $20 every time someone said they liked you, and
that's
should continue to do that.
I don't even know how to respond to such kind words, so I'm not even going to try. But thank you for performing my eulogy early.
Here are some bits. I'm going to throw some bits out, and let's get to the almost live stuff. Because when you're an intern on the show, pretty soon, if you've got any chops at all, you're going to start finding yourself not only appearing in skits and pieces, but you'll also be submitting writing as well. And I think I've heard you say this before, but one of your favorite bits, and it certainly was one of mine, we did it 3 times. The marvelous Bob Nelson wrote these bits that we'll call generically, "Hey Lenny."
Yes.
And I was Lenny, you were Ernie, and you're this kind of subservient, not very smart guy trying to learn things from Lenny, who's apparently, as you first see him, really a bad man. He looks like a thug. He looks like he fell right out of The Sopranos.
You were very intimidating.
He's smoking cigarettes. He's just a bad guy, and you're enchanted with him. You think you want to know what's on his mind. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Here's how one of those opened.
Hey Lenny, what are you thinking about?
You ever wondered what a gun like this could do to somebody, Ernie?
Hey Lenny, have you ever?
Have I ever what?
Have you ever?
Have I ever trapped a man in an alley, pinned him against a wall, and then gotten right up into his face and said, "You are a very special person, a bright light in the universe," and then given him $5 and told him to pass the love along by doing something nice for a fellow human being? Have I ever done that?
Yeah, you've done that?
What do you think?
I think you've done it. I know you've done it, Lenny. You've done it, haven't you?
Let's take a little walk.
Okay.
So we did this thing several times.
Yeah.
And the shoots were so much fun. You had so much energy as this character.
Yeah, I would jump around a lot, whereas you just had this cold stare, and then you would do nice things for people.
Oh, Lenny, what are you gonna do, man?
Shut up.
What are you gonna do, huh?
Shut up.
What are you gonna do, man? Huh, Lenny?
Here comes someone.
Hey, look, man, I don't want any trouble. If it's money you want, just take it. Just please don't hurt me. I'm begging you.
Do you know that you're a very special person? A beautiful light in the universe and a cherished part of this miracle we call life.
It's awfully nice of you to say.
Now, I want you to take this $5 bill, and the next person you meet, I want you to pass the love along by doing something nice for them.
Sure. Okay. I gotta get going. I'll see ya.
Oh, man, you did it, man! You just walked right up to him, man!
Shut up.
Oh, you weren't scared at all! Oh, you just walked right up to him and you...
Shut up! I got a think! Now, how much money we got left?
$20.
Okay, that's enough for 4 more.
Yeah, 4 more, man! Let's get them!
Shut up, come on.
Oh, you the man, Lenny! Oh, whatever you say, you're the man!
I say shut up!
Okay, I was just saying that.
Shut up!
Okay, I'm shutting up now!
Just shut up! Stop saying you're gonna shut up and shut up!
Okay, well, if you say to me, hey, Ernie, shut up, that's exactly what I'm gonna do!
Shut up, Ernie!
Okay, Lenny!
Stop saying okay, Lenny! Just shut up!
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the last guy you think would do nice things. That was his mission in life, to play against type all the time.
You're like, I'm going to give you
This
$5.
is a brilliant idea.
Pass it on to somebody else and tell them they may make the world a slightly better place.
And another time we broke into somebody's house and cleaned their house while they were gone and did the dishes and all of that.
Those were
and we always get punished at the end because we're we're places we shouldn't be, and these two guys don't look like they could be nice guys. Let's assume they're bad guys, and we'll punish them accordingly. Another time, a woman bought a whole bunch of Christmas stuff, and when she walked away for a minute, we broke into her car and gift wrapped all of the presents she had bought, and we got in trouble for that as well, arrested at the end. Anyway, I love that bit. You were so funny in it, and your energy played against my dark, creepy character.
That's why, that's why that thing worked.
Oh, you did it, Lenny, you did it. You broke in and you gave him flowers. Oh, that was so Phantom, Lenny.
Would you shut up? Okay, I'm thinking.
What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking. Maybe I should vacuum.
Okay, Lenny, Lenny. That's so great. Shut up.
We had you did a signature bit too, where there was the James Bond franchise had been around forever, but Jim Carrey was also really gigantic.
Yeah, and he was like at the zenith of his career, and he was getting like 20 million a picture.
Yeah,
and so you were in a bit called Golden Butt.
Golden Butt.
You remember? that one?
Where I basically played Jim Carrey from.
And very well.
God bless. I remember getting my hair done like that from what do you call it? You know, the nature one.
Ace Ventura.
And and I remember Keister going, this is a movie that he'll probably do, like where he plays a character, but he's a secret agent.
Moneypenny, get me 007.
Today's biggest box office star is now the world's greatest secret agent.
I'm James Bond. All righty then.
Yeah, he was right.
And I remember Green River Dance.
Yeah, you were great in that because you could dance.
I could. Well, I could pretend very well.
Now, fresh from the cake-soaked pastures of Kent comes Lord of the Green River Dance. Starring that riveting machinist from Boeing's Auburn plant, Daryl Flatley. Thrilling, says Mudflap Monthly. Don't miss the power, the passion, the perspiration of Daryl Flatley as Lord of the Green River Dance.
You remember a bit you did called Bobby Tango?
Oh, yeah, Bobby Tango, where he would sing movie themes.
Now, for the first time in music history, legendary pop singer Bobby Tango brings you this amazing musical offer. It's Bobby Tango sings the great movie classic instrumentals.
And I don't think, like, if you showed your kids that today because that was a parody of a commercial where people used to go like, you're going to get all the hits on these albums or tapes, and it would list all there would be a crawl on the screen of all the songs that were included in the CD pack. So, but Bobby Tango just sang all the movie themes because there would be no words. So
right, it's just
he would sing like
you were just doing the Star Wars, for example, or whatever.
Yeah, those were good times. And then that was one bit that I wrote that worked, but I wrote so many bits that fucking failed, like Siri or Speedy Eyeglasses.
At Speedy Eyes, we'll go to any length to construct a dependable and reasonably comfortable pair of glasses. You'll wear your new eyeglasses with pride. The kind of pride that comes from wearing something that took 5 minutes to make. Contact lenses and settings.
No, you were great. And you were one guy, like I'm built, I have pencil arms, like pipe cleaner arms, a sunken chest. Almost everybody on the show is either kind of paunchy or ectomorphic. You're the one guy that looked like he had some muscles and some seemingly and obviously statuesque.
Thank you.
So we had you come on the show several times because the Mel Gibson movie Braveheart was really
Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
At the time, and you came out in this kind of nonsensical character, but it would be live on the show.
Yeah.
You'd come out without a shirt, brandishing a huge sword.
Yeah, that was. And, I came out on a horse one time.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember the bit was about how Nordstrom had nail polish for men exclusively. And I was screaming about how great it was and how we all needed to put it on. And that was easier to read because I had like a wig in front of my face, and so I didn't look as panicked. And a lot of it was just screaming, so I could kind of get around. There wasn't complicated dialogue to say. So
you would say this a lot.
They can never take our freedom! No. Are you with me? Will you fight? Thank you!
There it is.
There's a bit I always loved, and at the time I didn't realize, you never told anybody that you had trouble reading the prompter, but you did a stellar job on this one bit, which didn't get a lot of notice, that I called Seahawks Speculators. And it was basically you and I are, and you'll remember this as I tell you about it, you and I are play-by-play announcers, and what we do is we speculate on injuries that have gone on in the field. We make them far worse, speculating this could be a career-ending injury. He looks like I don't think he's getting up. I think he's unconscious. Then the guy pops right back up and he's fine.
He's fine.
We never acknowledged that we.
How many times did we do that?
I think we only did it once, but that one stands out to me.
Third and about 2 now. Flea Flicker to Billadu. Pass is complete to him, and Billadu is racked up, and he is brought down hard after a gain of maybe 2.
And he is hurt, Bob, really hurt.
He is down, and he is not moving.
This is not good, Bob.
And we would not even begin to speculate on the nature of that injury at this point, Jack.
It would be pure speculation, Bob.
It might be possibly a torn
cartilage,
I was going to say.
Or a ligament.
And of course, Jack, you have to hope it is not the anterior cruciate ligament of one of those very valuable knees.
Or both of them.
But again, we don't want to even speculate on anything of this.
I remember because I screwed up a line, and I was like, oh my gosh, they just heard me screw up a line because I said career injury ending.
And while we continue to wait for some official word, Jack, could you explain what exactly constitutes a career-ending injury?
Yes, I'd be glad to. A career-ending injury is exactly that. It's an injury that ends a player's career.
Like a broken neck?
That's a good example. What about a crushed skull? That would almost certainly be an ending injury career.
But again, we just...
But I had said it so slowly that they thought I meant to say it, and I was like, yeah, I don't even. And I just kind of looked around. I think you kind of looked at me, and you were like, well, I'm just going to keep on going.
Of course, we know that Bilodeau's family and his close friends are all watching the game right now, back in his hometown.
And no doubt worrying and praying for him right now, as we all are.
And certainly, frightening words and thoughts have to be running through their heads right now.
Fracture, contusion,
concussion, coma,
vegetable.
And of course,
I think you got to laugh for it.
Yeah, for screwing.
That was a clever way to say it.
God, yeah.
And then there's a bit that you must have these things too. There's a bits that I thought, this is really funny. This is going to kill. And for some reason, the live studio audience just doesn't.
Oh,
they don't react the way I expected them to. And there's been countless numbers of those.
Yeah, I was in a lot of
one we did together. It's called Literally Speaking. And so it started with a woman that comes on.
My first guest is Lucille Skrull-Scribner. Hello there.
I can't tell you how happy I am to be here.
Well, that's what I understand, and that's why we invited you to the show. Now, why can't you tell us how happy you are?
I just can't.
Okay, then I guess that's about as far as we can go with this interview.
Do you have anything to eat around here?
You hungry? We could send out for something, I guess.
I can't tell you how hungry I am.
Well, then I guess you're out of luck because we wouldn't know how much food to order now, would we?
That makes me angry.
How angry?
I can't tell you.
I didn't think so.
I'm leaving.
All right, thanks for coming by.
I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been.
I know.
So you come on.
Well, Mr. Brockleby, thank you very much for coming by.
And you punch me in the face.
I see by my notes here that you are a man who lets his fists do the talking. Is that right?
And you punch me again.
Just my opinion here. But it seems kind of stupid, if I can say, to let your fists do the talking. Why do you do that? What's the matter, Mr. Brockleby? Cat got your knuckles?
And this time I'm knocked completely out of my chair backwards.
That was an excellent answer there, Mr. Brockleby, and I'll tell you.
And I thought the physicality of the slapstick would make the audience go crazy, but it didn't.
Very much looking forward to your appearance on the Compton Report next week. Don't answer.
It haunts me.
I hope you'll join me next week when we'll meet a U.S. Senator who rides the gravy train, a woman who goes whole hog, and a guy who's full of crap. Do you know him?
I'll never forget when you were you played like a guy on a blind date, but you had the puppy cone over your head.
Yeah.
Because you were scratching yourself too much.
Yeah, that bit played pretty well. That was a
that
live
one did
bit.
Great.
Yeah, that played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert, what are you wearing?
You like that? It's aqua velva. There's something about an aqua velva, man.
No, actually, I mean the cone.
Is it that noticeable?
Well, that was the thing. I'd always put, like, Bob and I would talk about it. They were like, if we just put Pat in the bit's going to probably work. Because you were our Phil Hartman, and you always brought it. And we always knew that if Pat was in it, we were going to be okay.
Well, you're pretty nice to say that.
Do you think I'm joking? It's true.
You're
sound like me.
So you were really hitting your stride at Almost Live, and we had no idea that the show was circling the drain. We thought this is going to be around forever. It's an institution now.
Yeah.
And I know that me, for one, and Bill Stainton, the producer of the show, for another, really wanted you to keep being a part of the show, but you had other plans.
Yeah, believe me, it was I realized I couldn't believe what I was doing, which was leaving Almost Live. I couldn't believe I would be giving that up because I got into graduate school for acting at the University of Washington, ironically, that I was going back to school. And it was, and I was like, I basically tried to do both, which was nearly impossible. And I couldn't believe it because I was like, I'm making money right now. And now I'm not going to be making money. I'm going to be spending money. And I'm going to go into this classroom and we're all going to roll around on the floor and make noises. and I'm giving up this TV job. But my logic behind it was I need to become a good actor, and I need the stage time, and then I'm going to move to Los Angeles or New York. And I was like, it's something I have. If I don't, because I knew that if I stayed at Almost Live, I was like,
you would fall into obscurity like I did.
How dare you? There's going to be statues erected to you, and you know what I mean by erected. And
when you made that decision that you got to move on, was that an independent decision by you, or did somebody counsel you and say, this is what you should do, Joel?
No, that was mine. I had this thing in the back of my head that I needed to go to drama school, and I think I had a decent. I think when it was on Almost Live, I was like, I'm on this show. I'm on this popular show. It's working. And I mean, obviously, it was on the shoulders of you guys and how it started in the '80s. And but I knew, but for whatever reason, it was in my craw. Like I need to pursue acting in a more traditional way before I go to Los Angeles or New York. And it wasn't like I thought, there was, at that point, there was no sign the show was ever going to end. And then pretty quickly after that, I think when the new owners came in, they were like, yeah, we're getting rid of this, which was really weird because it was printing money for the station.
Yeah. I think you told me once that, I said, well, what do you want to do? Why do you want to move to LA? What's your goal? And you said, and your goal was no bigger than you said, I want to be the wacky next door neighbor on a sitcom. I mean, you didn't even seemingly have designs on being a lead actor, which you became ultimately. You just said, I just want to work.
Yeah, that was true. Like there was a side of me that was like, maybe I'll be Marlon Brando. No, but I didn't really. I just thought if I can just work, then I'll be very happy. And I mean, I was also incredibly ambitious and competitive and all that stuff. And
was it a tough sell for Sarah, your wife?
No, I told her before we got married, I was like, at some point we're going to have to move to New York or Los Angeles. And she said, that's cool. So that after we moved to Los Angeles, she was one of the first people in her family to just move away because her family all stayed in the same area. And it is a shock, even if you're moving somewhere where the culture isn't that different. If you're still moving somewhere in your nation, it's still like, oh, we have no friends here. We don't know anyone. It's so weird. And that took a while. And now it's very strange because now it's very much home. And I go into Seattle now. I'm like, what happened to that building? What happened to those blocks of buildings? Where did they go?
Oh my God, yes, you're right. You're right.
And so now, like where we shot Almost Live and where King used to be is erased. Even I remember the Almost Live alley where we shot Lenny, where there was just condoms all over the ground.
Yeah.
That doesn't even. It's all doesn't exist. And
it's history, but it's a good history. That show had a 15-year run.
Damn.
And then they continued to rerun it. So
do they rerun it now?
I think they stopped in September of 2019, I was told, but I don't know for sure. But even at that, that's a 35-year run. That's crazy. Kind of unprecedented
because I would still tune into it. Like I remember having little kids and like babies, and I would have to be up feeding them, and then SNL would end, and then here we came on, and I was like, oh, this is, and it would always be like these crazy lineups of like, well, we got Alice in Chains in here, and the Huskies are killing it, and the Seahawks suck, and and I was like, wow, everything's changed. This is all, the Seahawks are great now. The Huskies are terrible. It was always, but it's sad that they don't run them anymore because that was just free money for them.
Yeah, I know. But boy, those residuals were pretty sweet.
Damn. What do you think bought me my jet?
I end every one of these things.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you, how do you have the footage from all the shows? Or how do you have any footage from the shows?
There's a wonderful man whose pseudonym is
George Buford, real name Ken McCaw. And he is a longtime
viewer of the show that has put everything up on YouTube. He recorded every show, and he puts every bit. You put your name in there. I know your name will come up a million times. Just put your own individual name in there, and then put Almost Live, and you'll see all those bits like we talked about a minute ago. will come up. That is my treasure trove of how I'm putting these podcasts.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I wish someone had done that with the soup, because I think I have like 4 episodes of it lying around and whatever's left on YouTube.
The local KTLA morning news show got into the Olympic spirit with a story about an 84-year-old pole vaulter. It's an inspiring story that shows us what we can achieve if we apply ourselves.
Guys like 84-year-old Denny Sullivan. Now, he's a senior Olympian who runs every day and pole vaults whenever he can. Yeah, I said pole vaults. This guy has also an amazing way of bouncing back. Take a look.
So remember, you're never too old to have your lowest moment broadcast to the country's second largest television market. And kudos to KTLA's producers for having the guts to take a stand against old people trying to accomplish something.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is that I always close these off, and thanks for the massive amount of time you gave us.
Oh, I'll give you more whenever you want. I'll come back.
I think we're going to see how this goes. I think there is going to be more. I think I want to talk to people like the guy who wrote the music for the show, camera people, Mike Boydston, Daryl Suto, who not only was the cameraman, but played the part of Billy Kwan very reluctantly on the show.
Hilarious.
All these wonderful people, producers and stuff. But I ask even guys like Bill Nye, I think I always know the answer, but for you, I'm not so sure. And the answer, the question is, if it had not been for Almost Live, do you think you would be where you are today? And in your case, you always had your eye beyond Almost Live. So the answer might not be the same for you.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I would say, first thing that pops in my head is no, that would not be here, because Almost Live allowed me to screw up.
Did you use Almost Live material as a sort of a reel that you took down there with you?
I will say, I will say Almost Live gave me confidence that I could be on camera and do stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys supported me so well and took me under your wings and really, because if I was on SNL and was dyslexic, they would have I think they would have thrown me out in about 2 weeks. So yes, it gave me a huge amount of confidence that I was like, wow, I accomplished this thing before, in my 20s. I got this thing done. I got to be on a TV show and they liked me and it was successful. It was so wonderful. But when I got here, I had a whole reel full of like Almost Live bits. And I swear to you, no one cared. And, but then I realized later on, even people that were pretty fucking amazingly successful, it meant nothing to a lot of agencies. It only depended upon what was hot right then, and then they would be interested in you. Yeah. So I learned that but I gave them all these tapes, and people were just no response. And I was like, oh, this is going to be much harder than I thought it would be. And so yes, I would not be where I am today. And no, the tapes did not really help. And so it's kind of a strange, but I definitely would not be where I am. But even like when I started the soup, knowing about the camera, knowing about how that all works, and knowing about the frame, just stuff like that. And so that stuff I came in already with a language that I could speak. And that's why I think I booked so many commercials. I couldn't get an agent, but I got a commercial agent. And that's how I made my living for almost 3 years, was just commercials. And so I
remember, one of your breakthrough commercials was, I think it was for jeans or something like that. Dockers, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Christopher Guest directed the commercial. And I don't know if you can recall the story, but you either in the commercial or you were auditioning for it. And you told me that you looked up and he was over across the room watching the performance on a monitor. And you said, and he was smiling.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and you make eye contact with him.
Yep.
And his smile disappeared immediately.
Yes.
He did not want you to know that he was.
That is exactly what happened. And that was,
you got the gig anyway.
I got, that actually happened during shooting. And I only booked the gig because the gig was that I was the only, all these men were at this party and everyone was wearing cocktail dresses. All the men were wearing cocktail dresses. And except for me, I was wearing Dockers. And Christopher Guest, they wanted you to improvise and everyone was wearing these dresses. And at that point I was exercising a lot because I had no jobs and no money. And I was wearing this spaghetti strap dress or whatever, and I improvised and I thought it went well. And he clearly already was going to go with his guys that were in all his movies, which I would have too. But one of the producers said, why don't you have the guy who's built with, why don't you have him come and audition to be the dancer? And that's how I got that job. And I did kind of like a horsing around swing dance where at that point I was really strong and I could just flip a smaller person around. And that's how I got that job. And that's why I was put into every single Christopher Guest movie after that. Oh, that's right. He didn't cast me in anything.
But that led to a million other commercials for you.
Ever see those cars behind the body shop? They kind of look like they've been there a while.
So which one's yours?
The blue one. They belong to people with discount insurance.
You get what you pay for.
That's why I'm with Nationwide. With Nationwide, you can work over the phone, over the web, or over the desk. You can even choose your own body shop.
Wow, looks great. Good as new.
Hey, what about the guy over there?
Him? He was there when we bought the place.
Nationwide is on your side.
Judge! Hey guys, can I get your attention? Good news. You're all getting bonuses that could be worth up to $10,000. Fantastic Four Amazon cash cards.
Don't those already come with our meals?
Yes, but normally I would keep them.
Right.
And that is the bonus.
Upsize your BK value meal. Get a free Fantastic Four Amazon cash card.
Hey, Carl, thanks so much for taking care of the cat, the flowers, and everything. And if there's anything you need, well, you know where we are. Ready?
Yay! Where are they going?
Oh, never-ending pancakes down at IHOP.
IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
I've been investing. Oh, please. I bought EMI.
You bought EMI? You own EMI, the music company? Well, I am so proud of you.
You want a piece of my heart? Oh, baby, start from the start. You want to be in the show? Come on, baby, let's go. Everybody's working for the weekend. You don't know how many times I wish that I could hold you. Don't you make my brown eyes.
Ownership. It's for everybody. At Ameritrade, everything you need to trade, all for $10.99. Every online equity trade, no matter how many shares you buy.
Jam on it. I said jam on it.
Open an account at Ameritrade.com and get 25 commission-free internet equity trades. 80 million Americans have a share. Ameritrade. What's your share?
I couldn't believe it. And then, of course, I got to be like my first big movie that I had an actual role in was with Matt Damon. So that was like,
The Informant,
I couldn't believe,
right?
Yeah, I couldn't believe I was like in a movie with Matt Damon. I was like, this is what I was going for, and it's happening.
There's something I've been wanting to talk to you about for a while. Don't tell us anything. You have a lawyer now, and it's not like it was before.
I mean, people I've met through I hosted an event with Angela Bassett, and we do it every year, and I'm just like, where's Angela Bassett? Right there, and we're on stage together. And I met Meryl Streep. She kissed me on the lips, and that was very. I hope
you admonished her for that.
But it was. I've gotten to meet like all these heroes, and I can't really. I can't believe. I mean, Malcolm McDowell was on the 4th season of Community, which was just like, I cannot believe the guy. I cannot believe this is happening.
It's just fun to do, you know, and it's such a great cast, this, and one of the more relaxed sets you could ever work on, actually. Joel and Chevy leading the way. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you know, you read stories about all these terrible people in Hollywood who are rude, but you are the same person, unless I'm horribly mistaken, that you've always been. And that's because of the way your mom and dad, and I know it's corny, but that's how you were raised, and you've got all your values intact. So I'm proud of you for that. And I think of you as a son, and sometimes I think of you as a daughter.
Bless you. Well, I remember when Chris Cashman, your son, was in the bits, doing great. And I was like, fucking A, even his kid's funny. You know, you guys really, like, I was such a fan of yours, and I couldn't, it was in one of those things where I'm like, I am now working with Pat Cashman. I am on a speaking basis. I speak with him. We have our phone numbers.
He doesn't look that good up close. Huh. It's funny.
I remember when Steve
Amber really
Wilson
plays tricks.
Like Steve Wilson was like, have you ever had Patty's pasta? And I was like, no. He's like, you've never been over to Pat's house? I was like, no. And then Steve was like, oh, it's so great. Like, you could see Steve just lit up like a Christmas tree because it was like, oh, I got something for you. And it was really funny. God bless
Buddy,
you.
Thank you very much. You know, I love you. And
that was really fun.
You want
Let's do
to
it again.
have one parting shot? Go ahead.
Thank you for having me on. I'm a big fan of yours, Nancy Guppy.
That wasn't what I had in mind.
The Almost Live, Still Alive podcast. Produced and edited by Morris Patrick Cashman. Technical director is Dave Tavers. And special gratitude to the legendary Kenneth George Buford McCaw, Almost Live's chief archivist. And thanks also to King TV Seattle. This program was made possible in part by the 12th century nun and mystic Hildegard von Bingen, inventor of spoken language. And by Emil Berliner, creator of the microphone. And I'm your announcer, that kid from Sluggy, Chris Cashman.